Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Pilot Talks. This is your host Vijay here from Pilotberry, and today we have Seetharam ji with us. Hi Seetharam, how are you?
Hello, very well. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you for dedicating some time for Pilot Talks. So we'll start
My
off with a
pleasure.
very quick intro. So Seetharam ji, can you just please go ahead and give a quick intro of yourself?
Okay, so my name is Seetharam Kupuswamy, and I'm running a company called Silver Tongue. It's a 16-year-old training company in Coimbatore, and we have various verticals. One is English fluency courses, and which is open for everyone. And then we have business communication courses for corporate companies, and we also do placement and interview skills training for colleges. And finally, we offer all the study abroad exams like IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, etc.
Okay, so you said you have been around for about 16 years. So what
That's right.
prompted you to, start a company called Silver Tongue?
Yeah. So what happened? My story about how I started Silver Tongue is from 1984 to 2004. I was helping my father in this business, but due to some unfortunate situations, we were forced to close down that business.
Okay.
And post which I really was thinking what to do, because having been an entrepreneur and I was well known throughout Coimbatore in this particular field, so everyone in the plastics industry knew us, and after being an entrepreneur, I didn't want to get back into the job market. Maybe a
Hmm.
little bit of my ego prevented me to take up a job, and then I was wondering what to do. And then I did a SWOT analysis, and I found out what are my passions, what am I good at. Meanwhile, what happened is I joined an organization called Junior Chamber International, JCs, which is a leadership development organization uh, worldwide with its headquarters in the US. And there, one of the options was training. We
Okay.
could get certified uh, in Junior Chamber. Training was one of the verticals, and I got into that, and I climbed up the ladder in JCs, and I used to do it as a passion. So at weekends, used to go and conduct some soft skills program under JCs. And meanwhile, I've also been a sportsman all my life. Ever since my young days, I've been into tennis. I've
Okay.
represented college, university, all that. And then
Wow, very nice.
there, yeah, I played at national level. And then an opportunity came up for me to take up tennis coaching. Right? Many of my friends were doing coaching, and then one of them decided to stop coaching. And then one day he asked me, "Would you be interested in teaching tennis?" So I said, "No, I've been a player all along." But he said, "There's a vacancy. Why don't you join us?" And then I ended up teaching tennis, which I started to enjoy, which I was doing for about 10 years. I was
Okay.
a head coach at Coimbatore District Tennis Association. But eventually, it was getting to me physically, because I had to be the morning and evening 2 hours each. So my schedule was like 2 hours of coaching in the morning, and then my father's factory till evening, and then again back to the tennis court for 2 hours in the evening. So it really took up a lot of toll physically and mentally, and I stopped enjoying that, and I was wondering what to do.
Mm.
Then I thought about my training experience at JC's and my stint as a tennis coach, and I discovered that I can be pretty good at teaching. So I thought, okay, teaching is going to be my passion. But then I was not, and has always been my passion. But I was not an English literature graduate. So I was
Mm.
wondering what to do. How can I start teaching English? Then I signed up with the British Council, Chennai, and I underwent lots of certifications with them. And then I was freelancing for about 3 years. So I used to go from institute to institute freelancing, right? 2 hours in one institute, and then take my briefcase and run to the next institute and take classes over there. So that's how it was going for 3 years. And in about 3 years, I really got a lot of experience. I became a domain expert in that. And then I thought, why not become a businessman again? So that
Mm.
entrepreneurship was already there, but it was dormant for a few years. And I thought, okay, the entrepreneur in me woke up again and said, why don't you do something on your own? Okay. So meanwhile, my wife was working in Tamil Nadu Agricultural University. She was going there uh, to work, but then she didn't have a permanent job. She was hired like for certain projects. A project would run for 1 or 2 years, and then once the project is done, she had to wait on the bench. So it was not a
Mm.
permanent posting. And then projects also stopped coming, and she also started to wonder what next, what shall I do. And then one fine day we just decided to start things together. And
Oh,
in
okay. So your
2007,
wife is a partner in Silver Tongue?
yes, both of us are taking
Oh,
care of
okay.
that. Okay, so she too came in accidentally because things were drying up at her end, and she was also wondering what to do. And of course, her English language skills are also very good. So we thought, okay, why don't we combine our skills? And one fine day, we just decided to launch Silver Tongue. That was on 15th of September 2007. We
Got
launched
it.
Silver Tongue.
Okay. I was just going to pop in a question asking you, you know, you have been running this for about 30 years. How's your support system like? But I guess you jumped the gun, and now I understand, you know, you and your wife are, you know, partners in crime,
Yeah,
teaching English to uh,
yeah,
teaching English to multiple different folks out here.
yeah.
So
So normally we
Sitaramji, when you
think,
first
yeah.
started, was it more towards individuals, or did you go to corporates first and then diversify into individuals?
No, we focused on individuals first. So I remember
Okay.
the early days, we just started, and initially we didn't hire anyone. Okay, we were working on a very low budget, so we thought, let's not hire anyone. So I remember that, in those days we didn't have digital marketing, so we had to go through newspaper ads and distributing pamphlets.
Mm.
Okay, like that. So initially, in the initial days, she used to sit at the center, and I used to go around and trying to market it, and doing that, and trying to meet some people. Then slowly, students start to trickle in. For the first 3 months, there was not a single student who
Okay.
dropped, and I still remember. Okay, and one fine day, one student, I'll never forget him. His name is Shankar. I'll never forget. He was our very first student. So he walked in, looking at one of our pamphlets. He brought a pamphlet in his hand, and he came for the inquiry. So I remember him very well. So very humble beginnings. Both of us used to teach. We didn't want to hire teachers at that stage, but things started to pick up eventually, and then
Mm.
we started hiring one counselor to make phone calls and do some general marketing, and then we hired one part-time teacher so that we could start focusing on business development. So that's how it began.
Okay. So this is going to be a tough question for you to answer. So what kept you going in the first 3 months? How were you, you know, you were struggling, you were not finding any new customers or not finding your first
Absolutely.
customer, but you still kept at it. So what what
Yes.
what was your push factor?
You could also say it's a prestige issue because uh, both our families were against it.
Okay.
We come from a conservative kind of family, and more of an employee kind of attitude,
Okay.
right? So, and my dad had pains of closing down the business, right? Of closing down his business. So
Mm,
he was also saying, no, let's not get into business anymore. Why don't you go and work somewhere? A lot of resistance, but we believed in what we were doing. We knew our strengths, and we knew that we had to be patient, and someday our day will come, and it happened.
mm. So being perseverant and also focused on what you want to achieve.
That's right.
So you said you were around for about 16 years right now. So I'm pretty sure uh, COVID must have impacted Silver Tongue, even if it is for a small scale, right? So how did you survive the COVID wave?
I would say yes or no to that particular question. Yes, because we were running a center in Shivananda Colony, and COVID forced us to shut down.
Hmm,
But that's the very first time we tried the online mode. So we already
hmm,
had a bunch of students who were coming, and suddenly we had to close down the center. So we immediately shifted to the online mode, right? And we found that eventually we found that it can be equally effective online. So
wow,
initially we were
okay.
a little apprehensive that we may not be able to give that kind of quality, but eventually found that we were able to maintain the same quality even online, and eventually we also got used to online.
Hmm,
Incidentally, till last week we were still continuing online, and just recently we have restarted our center. We have relaunched a physical center. This time in Ramnagar we have opened a center, and it's all set to go. Another 1 week or 10 days, we'll be relaunching physical classes also. So now we are planning to give hybrid mode. Whoever wants
uh,
online can also take up online, but whoever wants to drop in can also drop in.
that's awesome. So there's some good and bad, right? So when COVID wave came, you were able to adapt yourself to the current situation, move your
That's right.
teachings to online.
Yes.
Awesome. So So you've been around for about 16 years. So what would you say, how many students on a ballpark, how many of them would you have coached till now?
Okay, if you count overall what we did in a center and also colleges, we must have touched more than 10,000.
10,000 lives. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
more than 10,000 by now. And it's really satisfying. It's really satisfying that we're able to touch so many lives. And I think the best part of being a teacher is that you get recognized. Right? For example, one fine day I was in the bank and suddenly somebody wished me good morning sir from behind, and I turned around. It was one of my old students who still remembered, and he was very grateful. He's now settled in Australia. So he was really grateful, and he said that his stint at Silver Tongue was the turning point in his life. So we, apart from the money that we earn, these small things really make us feel proud that we are in this teaching profession.
Correct. I think it's more generic than that, right? Not just associated with teaching. For even startups like us, when we go ahead and positively impact our users, it gives us that sense of, okay, we have done something useful in our life, kind of a feeling.
Yeah, you feel, yes, you have not wasted your time.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
That's how it is.
So what's your plan or goals for Silver Tongue taking it forward? So let's talk about the next
Okay.
5 to 10 years. How do you envision Silver Tongue to be?
Right. So although we shifted to online training during the pandemic, we've still not gone digital, believe it or not. Today everything is digital, but we are still maintaining the conservative approach, live classes and physical classes. But now we realize that it is digitize or perish. That's the mantra nowadays. So unless we digitize, we cannot scale up our business, right? So our immediate goal is to digitize all our courses and promote it actively on social media platforms. But at any cost, we were not going to stop the physical classes, because after all, that is what brought us to this level. So we will be continuing with the physical classes, but to scale up the business, we are planning to digitize our contents, which maybe in the next 6 months or so, it will be out. But we do know that it's a highly competitive market. Maybe we're one of the last entrants. People who started after us are already digitized. But we believe in patience and perseverance. We don't want to be part of that rat race, and we don't consider anyone to be a competitor, because we are all the time focused on what we are doing. So we don't mind. We just ignore the noise that's happening outside. We just want to focus on what we are planning to do.
Got it. So, I know you talked about competition and keeping the noise out, but why do you think students come after Silver Tongue? What's that unique selling point that you have?
Okay, so far it has been what we give to the students, because I don't want to compare myself with the competition. Okay, so I think everybody is good. I don't want to belittle my competition,
Without
but
taking
by
any
God,
names. Yeah.
yes, without taking any names. What has kept us going this far is the goodwill that we have built with our students. And today it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of our students are those who came through referrals.
Wow.
Student
Okay.
referrals. Yeah. So we believe in that. So they go and tell them that what we are able to give them, that personal touch and quality. See, we live in a world of information, right? Anybody can get information on the net. Right?
Correct.
You can
Yes.
learn English. You can browse the net and learn English, right? But then you cannot replace the human touch, right?
Definitely.
So
Yes.
I think Silver Tongue is stands out because of that. Also because we believe in small groups. Okay, all our classes are really small groups, and so we are able to give individual attention to each
Got
student,
it.
and every student is highly satisfied, and most of them refer students to us. So that's what is keeping us going now.
Got it. Got it. So we do have a KPI called NPS, which stands for Net Promoter Score. So from what I've heard, I think Silver Tongue has a really good NPS score out there.
Thank you so much for that.
So, Sitaramji, thank you for your time so much. Before we wrap up, just a quick question. So, for aspiring entrepreneurs who are, trying to just kickstart their business, is there any advice that you would like to share it with them?
Okay, the only field I know is education. So, yeah. So first advice I would like to give people who want to join the education field is you should have a passion. It should not be just another thing that you're doing, right? So you should be passionate about teaching, but in my opinion, it's the most noble profession in the world, because everybody needs a teacher. Even a teacher needs a teacher, right?
Mhm.
So it's the most noble profession in the world, in my opinion. So you should have that feeling when you enter this field. And in my view, money is secondary.
Mhm.
When you do things right, you do things with passion, money will automatically come, right? Of course, I know money is very important, but that should not be your goal.
Money should not be a driving factor. It should be
Driving,
passion, and money should be a byproduct.
it will become a natural byproduct of what you're doing. So I would say 3 or 4 P's. One is patience, okay, passion, uh, perseverance, right? So when
Patience,
once you have
passion,
the,
and perseverance.
yes, I
Okay.
should say patience, because the reality is you have to be ready for failures,
Mm.
right? Like, even I can remember my early days. So in fact, I would say, if you have failed to fail, you have failed to learn,
Mm.
right? So
Very
don't be afraid
profound.
of
Yes.
yes. Yeah. So I mean, we are all humans, right? We are not robots. I know artificial intelligence is coming up in a big way, but I would still say nobody can replace our human potential, right? So it's human to make mistakes, but the secret is you should not get deterred by making mistakes. So you do your best in that particular situation. You do your best with the available information and the resources. You do your best. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't win. You just have to learn lessons and keep moving forward. That will be success, right? Since I'm also into running, I would say that business is a marathon, not a sprint. So you have to bide your time and keep going. Yeah, that's
Very,
it.
very profound, Sitaramji. I really like that quote. If you fail to fail, you fail to learn. I think that's very profound and applicable for to a lot of us out there.
Right.
Thank you so much, Sitaramji, for joining us in our episode of Pilot Talks.
Yeah, sir, thank you so much. And I really appreciate this concept of pilot talks. And it's a really a good concept. I'm really happy and honored to be part of this series. And I'm sure this concept is going to be appreciated by all your viewers. And I wish you all the best personally. Silver Tongue wishes Pilot Berry all the very best, and keep going. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
You too. Bye.
All right, so here's a quick recap of our conversation with Mr. Seetharam, founder of Silver Tongue. We spoke about his journey as an entrepreneur in the education industry, his achievements so far, and the goals for the future. We wrapped the conversation with a very wise quote: if you fail to fail, you fail to learn. Wishing Mr. Seetharam and Silver Tongue the best for the future endeavors. Alright, so that marks the end of our second episode in Pilot Talks series. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and see you all in 2 weeks for yet another exciting episode. Cheers.